Okay, hot take. Nintendo's JoyCons are stupid. I'm not saying they're bad. They're actually very good, and I would be pretty sad if they were gone. The new Joy-Cons of the Nintendo Switch 2 are, first of all, way bigger than the Nintendo Switch 1 Joy-Cons. These joysticks are also bigger, of course, and have a nice rubber on top. The face buttons are not bad, but they're not the best, but they are not bad. And the plus buttons and stuff, they're not much changed, but they're pretty good still. The top R and L buttons are nice and clicky, and also there's a new C button. And if you play Mario Kart like this with someone, these triggers on top, they're way bigger now, and they're just a nicer experience. And there's also a new mouse mode. So they're not bad, is what I'm saying. They're not bad. They're actually very good. And they are the best in a vacuum. And with that I mean without anything else. But with competition, and also the price of these, well, you could say they're not the best. First of all is the price. Well, most of the time they're about $75 or $80. So about $40 for even one of these. And in some stores, they're even $100. Which, if you take that into perspective, that's about 20% of your entire Switch. That's if you took the bundle in Mario Kart World, which most people have. And, mate, they're not the best for, 20%. These tiny things for 20% of your entire Switch? But you're like, oh, I might at least you get something. But the question is, do you get something? So let's first get to the joysticks. The sticks, at the design, they look pretty good, with the design and all, with the blue and the red, with the around and stuff, they look pretty good. But they're actual quality, mate, they're not so good, mate. Like, if you do like this, they almost touch the Switch, which isn't that much of a problem, is it? But they're pretty small, and compared to some other controllers, they ain't so good, mate. 'Cause look at this, they don't travel as much, and they click in. If you hear that, like a button, which almost no games actually use. So what's that kind of a use? And even if a game needs it, there's also these face buttons that also never get used, but we'll get in those to a bit. So joysticks aren't really that good. But to say, yeah, the joysticks, maybe those aren't good, but all the other stuff is. But mate, what about the face buttons? They're not as clicky. They're better than the Switch 1, but the Switch 1s aren't really that good. And just look at them. They're not so good buttons. They don't travel as much, and they're not the best. But also the other buttons, the minus and plus buttons are actually pretty good. But then the capture button is also pretty good. The home button, you could argue that's good. But then there's the C button that has a $50 subscription behind it, and for most people, it's just a button to make a goofy sound. That's the goofy sound. And then we go to triggers, mate, and those aren't as good either. Because the face buttons, the L and R, aren't actually that bad. If I just focus here, they're not that bad. They're just buttons. They're pretty clicky, and that doesn't really matter that much, does it? But then, mate, you go to these, and these extra buttons over here, and most controllers, like a PlayStation controller, which most people are familiar with, mate, the PlayStation controller, mate, it just sinks down. And basically, if you just play something like 2K26, is a basketball game, if your player is, just exhausted, then it's harder to press that trigger as adaptive triggers of the PlayStation. But these are just buttons, mate. And they're not even that clicky, mate. And the buttons, that for creators of games like 2K26, that doesn't really encourage them to make some good stuff. They can make that adaptive triggers, and if they added that to the Joy-Cons, by the way, they could have had games supporting that, and I was like, these Joy-Cons are actually pretty close to the like DualShock stuff of the PlayStation, so it's not actually a bad deal if you get a Switch, and the Joy-Cons will be great. But mate, they didn't do that, mate. They didn't do that, mate. And like, oi, they're just Joy-Cons, mate. And if you flip them around, you can play 2-player. Okay, the face buttons, these L and R, SL and SR, are actually pretty good, and they're actually like metal. So if I get the Switch over here, they magnetically connect to the Switch. Because the Switch has magnets in it. But when you get them out of there, and you're like, oi, let me use these instead of that, and then use 2-player, it is good. But then like, oh, let me get the straps that come included. And then the straps are just these. Like, what's this? They don't protect any of your buttons. Maybe you're like, yeah, we don't even need that because the buttons are big enough. But like, what? And you're like, oh mate, you forgot something. They have a mouse mode, mate. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's see. I like how good that is. Everything might look a bit dark, but here we have a Joy-Con. We'll put it down, and wow, you'll have this. You have a boy. You have a mouse. But then when I do it on this glass, you don't really see it, do you? So it's a bit bright now, and you see I'm doing it over here, and nothing is happening. You see the mouse down there? It's not really moving. But and even if you do it on your jeans or something, it's not so good. And then you're like, these straps are made for a reason, right? And then you put them on, but it's like they work now, but that's on your jeans. They still don't work on glass. But like, okay, who's gonna do it on glass? Okay, but still, if you really want the right experience, you're gonna have to get these. And no one's taken these with them. You're gonna have to stand up, find them wherever you put them, and then just take them off later after like 5 seconds of using the mouse. And also, these straps, most people just cut them off because they're annoying, and no one actually uses the strap function. So who is this for? So these Joy-Cons already don't look as good as they're really supposed to be. But mate, I'm not just roasting them, mate. There's also other stuff. You can get third-party controls that are pretty good. And look at this. This thing, this grip, is to make your Joy-Cons basically a controller, mate. And when you put them on there, they actually are pretty nice, right? And they are pretty ergonomic, which is better, as you can see these mega things. And you can do like this, mate. And like, oi, these are actually not bad. And then it's like, oi, I can play some Mario Kart like this and have a bunch of fun. And yes, I actually like this accessory. And mate, you should actually make this like, oh, it's actually good with the accessory. Until you go to a third-party thing. Get a third-party controller, right? And I'm gonna go get it real quick. Here it is. It's a third-party controller. Look at the difference. And I'm going to be telling you some differences, mate. This is basically, it's basically like 1/6 of the price of 2 of these Joy-Cons. And that's not even including this grip. And let's see how much better they are. Joysticks. These joysticks. Look at that. Wow. And by the way, if I didn't tell you, these also have RGB. And look at how much these joysticks travel. Face buttons. Let's check out these. And let's check out these. They're very much more tactile, or maybe more soft, you would say. These are more tactile, but that's also more high quality, and they're more clicky, actually. The home button is just miles better. maybe you could say the D-pad isn't that good, but it is actually, most people would say, better than these Joy-Cons. And also, this also has the T button, but I actually don't know what it does. But maybe that's a downside. Yeah, that probably is a downside because you don't know what a T button does. And this one charges with USB-C at the top. And maybe someone prefers that instead of using the battery of the Nintendo Switch to actually charge the Joy-Cons. So, mate, you could say that Joy-Cons are not that good. And like, when I said hot take, Joy-Cons are stupid. It's like, hear me out. And now that you heard me, you understand what I'm saying? But you can still argue that they are beautiful in what they do. Oh, my lamp just died. Okay, wait. Alright, lights back. But these are actually very good for handheld gaming. And if you have a pair of Joy-Cons, I'm not saying throw them away. They're not bad. But they're not the best deal and best quality. But the Nintendo had to give you something. And what they give you is beautiful for playing your games on this. And if people want to get third-party Joy-Cons that even snap on here, that's fine. But these are no joke. But they're not the best, is what I'm saying. And you might see in the thumbnail that it's like bad, but it's not bad, mate. It's not bad in the slightest, mate. And if you had them, it's fine. And by the way, if you had to get Joy-Cons, mate, I'm not saying get the first generations, because the first generations are real bad compared to these. And I'm not saying get this, because maybe these are better. And also, they have the trigger to actually go down, but they don't have adaptive triggers because Nintendo doesn't actually support any of that. And they also have back buttons like the Pro Controller, which you could call these the best deal ever, because these also like $12, and it's like much better. But these are also third party, and you can't really trust them with the quality, can you? Which I was just saying that the quality isn't good with these, but these are so cheap and third party. Maybe these are very bad in the long run. And by the way, the vibration motor of this one, well, mate, it's way too strong. But mate, if you think about getting something, if you want an extra control, mate, don't get another pair of Joy-Cons, and also don't get first generations. But if you need something, you can get the Joy-Cons. Don't get the first generations. But you can also get something like this or a third party one. Like, yeah, this is a third party one. It has the adaptive triggers on top. So that is pretty nice. And now Joy-Cons, are they stupid? Maybe after hearing all this, yes. But mate, just having Joy-Cons in general, these are a marvel of a creation and have literal metal buttons. So, and that makes it also feel nice and attached with the controller, with the system flawlessly. So mate, I'm not saying controls are bad, these Joy-Cons are bad, but mate, they're not the best. And I want to real quick tell you something. So there's this awesome YouTuber called Dan Pods with 1.79 million subscribers. I just want to shout him out, because if you go down to this video, you do have, of course, a green thing, which is a tablet that he puts like I do on the table, which I actually got from him and he didn't from me, and he's also a bigger YouTuber than me. But I got that idea from him because it's a good idea to have something to put it on. And also, I have glass on this, so it kind of reflects. And this also just looks nice. And Drill 5, mate, of my channel is kind of based on him. So shoutouts to him, and you should definitely subscribe to that guy if you're kind of enjoying this video. But mate, the Nintendo system ain't so bad, and the Nintendo Joy-Cons ain't so bad either. But they're better out there. And you see this battery over here? I'm gonna catch it later. I'm gonna catch this battery. Oh shoot! I'm gonna catch this battery, and I'm gonna catch you later.